welcome to the first episode of Voices of Triumph, Our Journey. This empowerment movement is a spin-off of our phenomenal book, Voices of Triumph, Stories of African Women Immigrants in America. This book has captivated our readers and has received a lot of buzz, both here in America and abroad. I am Dr. Nneka Chukwu, one of the co-authors, and I'm here with my co-authors.
Thank you.
Dr. Angela Ikeme. I'm one of the co-authors of Voices of Triumph, the story of African immigrant women. And I'm also an entrepreneur, a clinical nurse leader, and an adjunct faculty.
Hi everyone, I'm Margaret Obilor, Dr. Margaret Obilor, and I'm also an executive director with the County of Santa Clara Health and Hospital Systems. Nice to be here today.
Awesome. So we're coming to you live from the Caribou Lounge in Alameda, California. To help us kick off this debut, we have invited other phenomenal, accomplished, and distinguished ladies. Sisters, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Dr. Wachira. I'm the founder of the Wachira Group, which has multiple verticals in the alcohol space.
I am not a doctor, but I'm surrounded by so many brilliant women. My name is Nneka Chukwu. I'm the founder of a Matochi healthcare company focused on seniors. Thank you for having me.
Glad you're here.
Like you, Nneka, I'm not a doctor, but these beautiful women have made room for us to come and celebrate their phenomenal book. My name is Haja Kande. I'm also author of Daughter of 1,000 Stars and the founder of Do Tell Foundation, an organization which creates space for victims of any kind of abuse to speak up and get help to lead healthy, fulfilling lives. That was a mouthful, but...
Ladies, it's wonderful to have you join us today. Like I said before, I'm Dr. Nneka Chukwu. I'm currently a leader and in the healthcare space, and I am also an adjunct faculty with the University of San Francisco graduate nursing program. We're excited to be here. All right, so to get us started, I'm going to ask, Doctors Angela and Margaret, how do you feel about this next step?
Oh my God, I'm so excited because this journey has taken us over 3 years to come up with this phenomenal book, and to kick off this first televised podcast is amazing, and to be around these beautiful, accomplished women makes it even much sweeter and better. Thank you ladies for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here as well. It's been a pleasure just meeting various women within this journey that we started. And so really appreciate you all being here. And very, very just kind of looking forward to where this takes us the next time.
Absolutely. So when we set out to write this book, our vision and our goal is still to inspire others to believe in themselves. And I think we have the right group here to talk about believing. And Dr. Wachira, I'm going to channel the first question to you. And also, if you don't know, Dr. Wachira is also a contributor to the book. Can you tell us a little bit about what this means for you when we're talking about inspiration, which by the way you are, because we're here enjoying the ambience of your beautiful lounge. What does inspiration look like to you, and how do we take that out there so that other women and men, because this book is not just for women, it's also for men, to believe and to feel inspired and motivated for that next big step?
See, I feel, first of all, inspiration, you have to be authentic to who you are, because you can't show others what to do, what to be, unless you are true to who you are as a person. So for me, inspiration starts with yourself. And if you're not inspired by yourself, right? If you don't get up every morning and be like, you know what? I got one more breath. I got one more day. I have, it may have been a shitty day, excuse my French, yesterday, but I am alive today. I have one more day to make a difference, right? So motivate yourself, and then you can transfer that to others. But it starts with self, right? You have to be able to look within yourself and be proud of who you are as a person, and then you can send it out to the world.
Amazing. Amazing. Powerful response. Thank you for that. Nneka.
And just to piggyback on what Dr. Chris said, I totally agree. We have to be authentic, and I always talk about this, telling our stories. That's how you most inspire people, because sometimes when we go through what we go through, we think it's not a big deal, so we don't talk about it. And for me, I'll use myself as an example. For the longest time, I did not tell my story because, one, I didn't take a breath to actually feel and celebrate all that I have been through, and I didn't think that it mattered. But once I started telling my story, I started seeing how inspiring it is to others, because you don't know who's going through what you just went through or what you went through 2 years ago. So I think that's the biggest inspiration, because when people see a physical manifestation of their dreams, then it becomes more attainable.
Right.
So that is the best way. What we're doing here, this is inspiration.
You can say that again.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Haja.
That's a big word. And so, as you can see, Dr. Chris had a perspective and Nneka had a perspective, because it's such a big thing to think of inspiration. I think that all around us, if we look, we can always find inspiration.
Absolutely.
When I set out to write my book, there was no book that actually had particular themes that our culture deems taboo to talk about. And so, even though it was a very difficult story for me to tell, and I didn't want to tell it at all, it didn't make sense to me then why it was needed, like you said. But over time, God has shown it to me that you have lived this story, so it's no longer yours. The telling of it is for those who come after you, or for those who are living their own stories. So for me, inspiration is finding your own place in this human puzzle we call life. And each one person, each human, has a particular space that they have to fill. And I think when we speak to life and share our struggles and triumphs, we create room for others to own their stories and plug themselves into that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I love that.
That's nice.
Can I dovetail on what these two ladies have just said? And I think what stands out to me most too, and I keep using the word authenticity, because you do need to tell both the good and the bad, right?
Absolutely.
Because if they only see the good side, then they might not see themselves reflected, right? Because if you have to tell the struggle so others can feel, okay, even if I'm going through a rough patch right now, one day can be her. I can write my book, I can tell the story. Or I'll be launching these magnanimous healthcare space, like you can tell, you can see yourself reflected in her downstream, even if it's rough today.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reality though is that life is not, if we all have a perfect life, it's boring, right? And so we know that that's not a definition of life. Life is all about the ups and downs. And to your point, you have to share the good and the bad and the ugly, right? Because that's how you inspire. Thank you so much for your powerful responses. So, Dr. Angela, can you read, when you write a book or when you own a business, sometimes you don't get to see it, but the aspects of it that other readers may see. But I know we've gone back, we wrote this book and we've had to read it over and over again. But what part of this book would you want to read to inspire those who have bought the book and planning to read it, and those who are yet to buy and read?
Hearing these wonderful ladies talk about inspiration and authenticity, and also bringing our culture, why some of the taboos, I want to read this piece that talks a little bit about it, and says culture and cultural practices have significant impact on our lives, both in areas that are visible to others and those that are not. The cultural context within which an individual is raised influences their behavior within other contexts and ultimately impacts cognition and attitude towards life. For instance, a family dynamics, choices of marriage, divorce, social interactions, selection of professional career, health and well-being, and religious practices are often results of upbringing. Our reactions and responses to joy or sadness, stress management, tolerance, and celebration, or how we manage emotions, are also influenced by our cultural background and exposure.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. I mean, what can you say to that? What can you say to that?
And I can read another piece about it, and some of the women can also relate to that, that immigrant women often find ourselves in cultural crossroads when navigating family dynamics and responsibilities while advancing in the careers. We had a story of Ezine, who is a great example of young woman, married immigrant woman with successful corporate career path, who ended up being isolated and despised by her family and colleagues while trying to balance her family and maintain a professional life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think for some of us, we find ourselves in what you described as a crossroad, where you're having to choose. But we're saying that you don't have to choose. You can enjoy both, right?
Yes.
Your family and still grow in your career with support, right?
Yes.
In the cultural context where we found ourselves as immigrant women. Dr. Ngozi, do you want to read just a little bit?
You know, it's interesting that Dr. Angela picked a section that talked about culture. I also did the same thing, and mine was more focused on also the clash of cultures, but then at the same time, a little bit more on the women themselves. So while gathering stories from the African immigrant women for this book, we heard time after time instances where these highly educated and skilled professionals were denied jobs they were qualified for. Some were told that they were too qualified for the job. There's a better position coming for you. Others did not receive a good reason for the denial. One of the participants shared some feedback she received after she was interviewed for a job. The hiring manager informed her that there was some lingo they expected her to use during the interview and that she had not used it. That was why she was not offered the job. So we go into these cultural areas where, you know, you go on the interview for the job and, you know, you're either too qualified, right? Or folks don't even think that you are qualified enough. And so most times we have to kind of hold ourselves back, you know, and not say, you know, not really bring out our qualifications and our professional skills there.
Yeah, if it's not you're overqualified, it's you're not
You're
qualified
enough.
And I think that even though that's what is being said, I don't think in most cases that's what it is, because there's this bias when you show up. I've seen it as a black female founder, one with an accent, you know, one who's an immigrant. I've seen that time and time again where people make assumptions about you by just looking at you. So anything else you have accomplished or you say does not really matter to that person because they already have this bias, you know. So yes, that's, people have to say something. You're qualified, too qualified or not qualified, and it's all part of the story that people want to tell. But I think that we have all learned that we need to continue to show up as ourselves, regardless. And we need to keep speaking up, because sometimes what has happened, or what I see a lot, is we go through these things and we don't say anything because we don't want to ruffle feathers or we don't want to make the other person mad. But what I've learned is when people get to at the point where they get to us, that means they have said it to several people and they feel too comfortable saying it to people. So the reason why we need to speak up and show up as ourselves is so that they don't do it to the people coming behind us, not even for us, because at that point, they're not gonna, they would never do anything for you at that point. Anybody that has that kind of perception about you, they would never do anything. But we don't want them to do it to the next person.
Yes.
And that's why we speak up.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons we wrote the book, right? It's so that women can share their experiences. You need to be able to share it, regardless of what other people think. Don't undermine yourself. And so that's one of the things we really wrote in the book here as one of the successes for some of us that we went through, was really sharing those experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Wachira, would you like to comment on that piece?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had sort of the life-changing moment for me when my daughter graduated out of undergrad school, and I realized she's stepping into the world. And at the time, so I was still in corporate and looking at myself and trying to figure out how am I showing up in the world, and what kind of world is she coming into, and how am I reflective of that world to her, right? And just realizing too that I don't want her to diminish herself. I feel like she needs to, cower down or be less on herself to make others comfortable or to accommodate others. And the other thing too is I'm a huge proponent of showing up as yourself, because everybody else is taken. Yeah. Right?
Thank you.
You're the only you, right? There's only one of you. There's
and nobody can be you.
Nobody can be you. I always say, like, if everybody's a CEO, because you're the CEO of you.
Yes.
Nobody understands you better than you.
You are your designer original.
Yeah.
There's
no
anybody else is a counterfeit.
Yeah. So I mean, there's no other way for me. It was really big. I was big on what I showed her, and for her to step into the world and be a professional and be this woman, this young woman, coming into herself. So I needed to be as true to myself so I could reflect that to her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's so powerful that you brought that up, because we're not doing this for us. We're doing this for the generations that are coming after us. We're also doing this for some of us who are in those situations right now and don't think there's a way out.
Right.
There's an outlet, right? We are here to say, yes, you do, right? Yes, you can use your voice. There's always something that you can do. Hedger, do you want to add to?
In just this one thing that the world sees, which is you're African or you're black or you're woman. And why I'm so happy about the work you've done, and I said that when we were in that meeting, is because I don't think people really understand how life-saving it is to look outside of yourself when you are in the fire of life, to see that people have been through and they came out. Whether it's with your career or with your marriage or with your anything in life. And so the gift we give the world, my book is my love offering to the world. I think it's that people get to have a reference point for their lives. Absolutely. And so we encourage whoever, anywhere, your story matters. The more we speak about these things, the hard, the good, the beautiful, and the ugly, we humanize life and we give permission to others to be human. I think that's the most beautiful gift we can give in this world.
Yes.
So I was gonna say, as we talk about this and speak about this, what I see lacking, that even though we're saying it, we're not really saying it, is the fact that every single person sitting here has accomplished something that people thought it was impossible. Absolutely. I think it's really important for us to state our credentials. We don't do that enough. Yes. Dr. Chris, you state your credentials, please. Come on, because we know what you're doing. Let's start with you. Come on, let's go. Let us go.
Okay, so that for me is always the toughest question to answer.
I know that. I know that.
Okay, so in terms of entrepreneurship, so I have these multi-verticals, and the Wachira group covers the entire spread in the alcohol space, from manufacturing, production to direct to consumer, and we do import, export, and distribution. And we're focused on minority and women crafted products, wine, beer, and liquor, and we bring them to consumers across the country.
Wow.
So right now we're looking at, we're in the scale part of our business, and we're looking to get to all 50 states across the country.
So let me ask you a question. How many Black-owned wine business do we have in the Bay Area?
Honestly, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
So the wine space, so the wine industry, we're 0.1% of a multi-billion-dollar industry. And Black women are micro.
So Black women,
minority.
how many in the Bay Area? I need you to say.
I got to be honest with you. So I would say, off the top of my head, maybe 5 in the Bay.
In the Bay Area?
In the Bay. I'll say maybe 3 to 5. It depends. Because folks are transient. So, folks may have lived in the Bay, have moved out. But
we're talking about today. I need you to say.
Well, there are 3 of us in Alameda County that I know off the top of my head. Off the top of my head. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I
Thank
don't know
you.
the other two. But.
So I know the Robbie McBride and Paula Harrell.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
Yeah.
It's only you I know.
Yeah. So
but I'm just, what I'm saying is, so how many immigrant women?
Ooh. You're gonna break it down.
She's gonna break it down.
So I'm the first Kenyan-American winemaker in the
Thank
country.
you. That's what you were going for. Yeah. Why did it take us this long to get there?
So because I didn't know how to get to where you were. I didn't know what the question was. And this is a challenge for me, I think, to be honest with you, as we are talking about this, if I'm being 100%.
Yes.
Like it is. And I think we talked about this.
Yes.
It's a byproduct of my culture.
And that you really.
So how we're socialized to be humble and to be, not to speak of yourself, because you don't want to be braggadocious, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
But I am learning. It's important to
but-
lead with.
Yes, but that's not
how
what
detailed.
you're doing, though.
Yes.
But it takes, honestly, it takes a shift in mindset to realize that that's not what you're doing.
Yes.
And it's taken me time. And even as I have grown and as I accomplish and as I check those boxes, as I call it, it's taken my personal growth journey. It's taken me time, quite a bit of time, to be able to speak to it.
And to own it.
And own it.
And to own it. Yes. Because a lot of times.
I'm so glad that you
got her.
Chris to make it, because a lot of us, me in particular, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
know this.
Angela, what do you do? I don't know what I do. I don't know what I have accomplished. And a lot of us go that way. But then when you start talking about it, you're like, you have accomplished this one, but why did it take me so long? That force.
So Dr. Angela just again, Nneka, this is why we're having this conversation, right? Because we've been programmed to diminish ourselves, to fit into a category, and this is why you need to get a copy of this book. If you haven't, please go get a copy. On page 102, we address the false sense of humility. I think that's what most of us suffer, right? And so we don't show up and talk about our accomplishments because we've been led to believe that we're either too much. I was actually sharing an experience that I had a while ago, and where people feel uncomfortable because she's saying she's a doctor. Yeah, she is a doctor. She worked so hard to get it. Why shouldn't she say that? Why can't she show up the way she wants to show up instead of being defined, right, by whatever standards is out there in the world? So what we are trying to say is, it's okay to talk about your accomplishments and be proud of what you've done, because to your point, what you've done and what most of us sitting here, all of us sitting here have accomplished is what others may think is impossible.
Exactly. And to add to that, the reason I wanted you to really state that is because, first, when I introduce myself, whatever room that I'm in, I always tell people I am an immigrant from Nigeria. I'm American now, but I didn't start that way.
Yeah.
Last year for Christmas, one of my employees gave me a Christmas card. For me, that was a love letter. And the most touching part of it was, she said, even though her parents are immigrants, but she was born here, and she said, it feels so good to see an immigrant building what you have built. It makes me feel like I can do it as well.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, so even though we have been, you know, positioned or told to that whenever we state our credentials, we're being braggadocious or arrogant, that's not it.
That's not
right.
It's because we want to be able to say these things so that others feel like they can do it.
Yes.
No, I understand, and that's really, really important too.
Yes.
But I was going to say too, it's not for me. It's not so much that I was withholding the information as it is that
You just didn't feel
I think you almost feel like you build up to it.
Yes.
But I think what I'm learning is you lead with it.
Yes.
You don't build up.
Yes.
You lead with it because
absolutely.
it might, excuse my French, you're badass. Like you've done things that most people have not been able to do. Black, white, male, female, you have done that. And so has, you know, everybody here. When we start telling our stories, so when we introduce ourselves, we need to lead with that and say, here's what I've done. Let me state my credentials. Let me tell you where I am coming from. Let me tell you where I am and where I am going. And say it with pride.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Yes.
And I am so glad that we are having this conversation, because as we were working on this book, we talked so much about this piece of it, the first sense of humility, how all of us, it has impacted all of us, and we diminished ourselves, and then others added to that diminishment. And a lot of African immigrant women did not come out of it. But to God be all the glory, majority succeeded, and their stories are in this book. And there is another aspect of this story we may talk in another segment, and the imposter syndrome, which when you tie it all, you start to understand why some African immigrant women are the way we are, and why it took us time to come out of our shell. And for those of you, people like Nneka, who have come out of the shell and telling us, come on, go, let's go.
Let's do this.
And with the help of this book, I think it's a movement and it's a journey, and with all of us together.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so you know,
places.
I don't know what that is, imposter syndrome. Anybody that asks me that question, I'm like, I don't know, because I don't feel it. I've never felt it. It's not my pain. It's not my pain. It's not my pain. I don't know what it means.
That's really good. We want all the other women to
To
feel
feel
like
that way. I totally agree.
and not have that syndrome.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So as much as, yes, we want to focus on our women, because you have to start somewhere,
Yes.
and we are women. But I also want to point out that, you know, I heard from someone who read the book, a man, and he said, this book is not just for women, it's also for men. I saw myself in this book every step of the way. So again, our goal is really we want to tell the story. We also want to say, yes, we can, right? Yes, we can make a difference. Again, if you don't have a copy, please grab a copy. Visit our website, voicesoftriumphthestory.com, to get a copy. But before we end today, what I want to say also is, Haja, you are a fantastic writer. I read your book, and I think it's so powerful. But what I want to ask you is, and you've read our book also, did you see any connection, intersections at all? Common things that you said, oh wow, okay, we need to talk about this work even more.
Absolutely, and that was why you and I have, I think, touched on that a bit in our text. I think what is so beautiful about this book and the stories that are in this book. Most of these women are not from Sierra Leone, where I'm from. And so my book, which was based on the Sierra Leonean culture, has surprising connecting points with women from other parts of Africa. And so yes, and one of those cultural themes that particularly irks me, which we are throwing out the window today by being here, is how women and girls are relegated to almost lowest class, not even low class, citizens, and that apparently seems to be the way it is in almost every African culture. I don't care how accomplished you are, how smart you are, how maybe physically strong you are.
I actually want to correct you that it's not just African.
It's not just
culture.
Africa, yes.
Even the Latinos, other cultures, we do have that whole thing. And even in the book here, we did write about just women from the earlier days, right? Many of the women were not working. Right? When did we start voting? Not till 1920 was when voting started. So I just want to say it's not just African. I know we focused on Africans here, but this really cuts across. Absolutely. Most immigrants or almost any immigrant has gone through some of this.
And I'll tell you a story something that recently actually happened to me, where I went to pitch for some kind of funding for a new subsidiary that I created. And when I got into the room, it was filled with people that did not look like me, were the opposite sex. And one of their biggest feedback, even though they said that when I was in there, was, even though I've been successful with my current company, is you should not run this company. You should get someone else to be the CEO. That's our biggest feedback. So the person who was my mentor in that room gave me this feedback after, because they were very they felt very strongly about this with no reason.
Wow, ladies, I am thankful to you for really being here, being part of this. Our goal is to continue, this special, right? To continue the conversation. So this is the first of its kind, and yes.
Such an amazing job with the book.
My God.
And please get a copy.
Yes. Please visit our website to order your copy. Voices of Triumph, thestory.com to order a copy. We are hoping to have the next segment. We don't know where yet, but this is the first of its kind, and we are going to continue. Special thanks to Dr. Wachira and her crew for hosting us.
I think Dr. Wachira wants to host again.
Right. So please check out the Caribou Wine Lounge. It's a beautiful space, a beautiful place for friends and family to meet, have fun, celebrate parties, etc. Again, thank you for hosting us. We also are thankful to you, Haja, our beautiful sister. Go get a copy of Haja's book. It is really, it's powerful and enriching. If you haven't bought a copy yet, please support her work. She's done a phenomenal work. And also our beautiful sister here. Thank you. and our beautiful sister here, this lady, I can't tell you enough. She's such a force. She is a force. Such an inspiration, coming from a humble beginning like all of us, and she has built an empire. We are so proud of your work. Please keep up the good work, and we look forward to having you come back. And of course, our beautiful sisters, ladies, do you have any last words to say before we end?
So excited and so happy to be here with all of you, to hear all of you. Nneka, I am so inspired by you. I'm going to call you. We have Dr. Wachiri. It's always a pleasure. I love coming to this place, and I'm telling all my friends, this is where I am having my next girls' night out.
And Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to also say thank you. It's a pleasure having both of you here. I mean, it's not always we all get to really stay out and socialize a little bit. So thank you for being here.
And since a Sierra Leonean sister here, thank you. Your book is such an inspiration for telling the story, and it's not only about Sierra Leonean girls, but Nigerian girls, we can relate to the story. So
all girls can relate because abuse goes on.
And thank you for being here with us today.
So thank you for joining us for our very first segment. We look forward to coming back to you with a more exciting segment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are my African queen. Ooh, Lord, just like the sun, light up the earth, you light up my life. The only one.